So today we're going to be understanding DOM manipulation basics. So what does DOM manipulation basics mean? So document object model manipulation. So that's what the meaning is. So what are we going to be building today? We're going to be building a book wish list application. We're going to be making an application in which you could add the book wish list, whatever you want. The user can add book titles dynamically to a list, and you will demonstrate how to manipulate HTML elements using JavaScript. So what's the goal of this application? A user enters a book title in a textbook and clicks add to wish list. The title is added to the list dynamically, and the user can hover over it to see a tooltip, delete it, or edit the title. It's going to be same as the last video, but it's a different thing that this is going to be an application, and we're going to be adding CSS, HTML, and JavaScript, all three inside this. I hope you're going to love this video and you're going to be learning a lot. So let's get started. So first of all, I'll let you know what's the key points. So like if you wonder what's the key points, what are we going to be adding? So the key points is selecting elements. Selecting element is going to be the first point. The second point is going to be changing content style and attributes. And the third point would be adding and removing elements dynamically. So this is the three things what we're going to be adding. Selecting elements. How are we going to select the elements? We're going to select the elements by element ID. Get element by ID, and this is going to be query selector, and we could add query selector all. We could add these two, but we're going to be only adding query selector from the basics. We're just going to be adding query selector. That's going to be enough for us. So the key points is we're going to be selecting elements by getting element by ID, such as query selector, by changing content style and attributes, and adding and removing elements dynamically. So let's get right into our video, and let's go right into our HTML code. So let's write our HTML structure, which is going to be the basic skeleton for our application. So we're going to be writing a boilerplate, and inside the boilerplate we could change our title. We'll change our title that we're going to be making a book. It's a book wish list. So I want to be making a book wish list. So that's what our example is going to be. We're going to be writing this in our title that we want to be making a book wish list. So after this, we could even add our CSS right after it, or we could skip the CSS right now, and inside the body we could write our main component of our HTML code, so we could know what are we trying to make. So we're going to be adding a div container. Inside the body tag, we're going to be adding a div container, and this is going to be div class container. And inside, we're not going to be writing this. We're going to be telling it's a wish list. I'll press Alt Z for making all in one line. This is some extra stuff I added. I'll say in H1 I'm gonna be adding a book wish list. And input, I could add an input type inside, and I could say that the same thing, placeholder, and enter book name. Whenever you're gonna be entering the book name, it's gonna be coming inside the website. So below this we could say, okay, we wanna be adding a button on click. Button ID will add, and this button ID is gonna be as a button. Whenever we click it, it's going to be add book button. Whenever we're going to be clicking this button, it's going to add it, and it's going to add, where is it going to add it? It's going to add it to the wish list. So we're going to be closing our bracket over here, and over here we could we could write add to wish list. Wish list. We're adding it to wish list. So this is what we're gonna be doing. So after this, we could add a UL over here, which is unordered line. And in a UL, I don't want to close it right now. In the UL, I could say UL ID, and I could add a book list inside, and I could close the bracket accordingly, and over here this is going to be our UL, our unordered line. It's going to be a bullet, it's going to be unordered. We're going to be closing our div accordingly, and after that we could add our script tag, which is going to be associating our JavaScript later on. We could even connect it right now, it's not that big of a deal. We could add that we want to add a script source, and it's going to be code.js because we already wrote. No, it's not going to be code.js, it's going to be app.js because we wrote our saved our JavaScript as code app.js. So we're going to be saving this, and we could go right now, reveal in File Explorer, and we could go code.html. We see that we made a wish list. Enter book name is not going to be working right now. I'll just write H over here. It's not going to be adding in the wish list because we didn't write our JavaScript accordingly. So you see that the book wish list is been made. The title has been made. Enter book name. Add to wish list. When we're gonna add JavaScript before, then it's going to be fully functioning. So let's go back in our code, and on top of this, on top of everything, we could add our CSS inside it. CSS is gonna be making it really amazing, and it's gonna be adding the dynamical attributes inside. So under this title tag, we'll add a style tag, and inside this we're gonna be writing our every single thing. We could say we want to be making body, and over here we're gonna say font. We want font family. We want to change the font size, and we could say, if you don't want to change the background color, I won't be suggesting you just change the background inside the body. I'll just say I want to be changing the margin, and I'll put 20 pixel as the margin. So after writing the body, so we're going to be closing our body accordingly. Then we'll add the container. Inside the container, you could be adding whatever the things you want. So I'll say container. I can open the bracket, and in the container, in the container, I could over here I could change these stuff as whatever I want. I want to say I want to add max width to it. So max width, how much are we gonna add? I'll say 400 pixels would be sufficient. So I'll add a max width of 400 pixel. After this, I'll add margin. I'll say I want to add auto. So after this, I'll text align it. I'll text align it in the center. So this is going to be happening perfectly. So after this, I'll add an input type. I'll add input. I'll open the bracket, and over here I could say, okay, I want to be adding padding inside. Padding, how much padding I want? I'll say 8 pixels. If you watch my previous videos before, you're going to be understanding how are we writing CSS, how are we writing JavaScript, why, which tags are we writing in HTML. It's like if you have the basics, if your basics are strong, then it's going to be really easy for you to understand why are we using these stuff inside our code. It's going to be really easy. Right now, padding, I even showed you in the previous video, what does padding do, what does margin do, what does margin bottom, what is width do. So now we are on a different level. We're trying to make our application, a web application. So now we could add our stuff accordingly. In the width, I'll say I want to add 80%. That's going to be the width, and it's just random numbers. Accordingly, you could add whatever you want, whatever suits you, and like you could mix and match. You could check whatever is going to be the perfect one. Right now, I already tried them so many times, so I know which margin percentage and which pixel is going to be sufficient and which pixels are going to be looking good in our web page. So that's why I'm adding that. So after that, we'll add a button. Remember, we added a button. If you don't understand why are we adding these stuff, we could always go back in our web page and we could see, okay, now what are the beauty things what we could do? This book wish list, we could add this in the middle, right? We could always add this in the middle. We could change the button style, change this enter book. Whenever we're going to enter something, whenever we're going to click the button, it's going to be presenting in the middle, and we could add different colors inside. We could say green, blue, white, yellow. We could add whatever we want. So we could add book wish list. It's going to be really nice, and it's going to be presentable. We want to be making an application. So that's why we're adding CSS. If you don't add CSS, it's not that big of a deal, but CSS always makes your code look beautiful and presentable. So inside this, I'll add padding, and padding, I'll say I'll add 8 pixel and 16 pixel. Why did I write 2 pixels over here? It's an approximate from 8 pixel to 16 pixel. It's gonna choose something accordingly. So background color, I could add a background color. I'll add, yeah, I have a code 007BFF. So this is light blue color. It's gonna be really amazing. You could learn these codes or just write the codes, write the color by yourself. Like if you don't know these codes, just write blue. You see blue, blue, blurry wood, blue violent. You could add all of these. Everything, it's super easy on Visual Code Studio. But I know the codes. You could even search them online. Search on Google Chrome. You're gonna be finding the chart, and you can learn the codes accordingly, and it's gonna tell you which color. It's like more, you have more varieties with colors over there. So that's why I like to use that. Over here, I just want white color, so I'll just write direct white. I'll say I need the color white. Now I wanna be adding borders. Inside the borders, I'll say none, so it could know that it doesn't mess up. I'll make sure about it. And cursor, I'll say I wanna add a pointer cursor. Let's just do it. I said I want to add a pointer cursor. So inside this, I'll add button, hover, and over here I'll open the bracket, and inside, after the button hover, I'll add background color. No, sorry, background color. And inside the background color, I know another code is gonna be hash 00. It was 0056B3. This is a little dark blue. That was a little light. This is a little dark. We want to be making difference inside. You could go on Google Chrome and you're gonna see it. Or if you have any problem in finding it, just comment down below. I'll send you the link of the web page. Inside that, it's gonna be writing all the color schemes and how are we gonna know which codes are these. So it's gonna be really amazing. Just comment down below for the link. So we're gonna be closing this button, BUTTON. I misspelled button, and you gotta make sure of every single spelling. If you miss once, it's not gonna run accordingly. I'll give you a time to review all the code at the end of the video, so stay tuned and understand what am I doing, why am I using this. It's gonna be really helpful. You know this UL, why are we adding UL over here? This is the unordered list. Over here in down one, you're gonna see we added an unordered list. So we wanna style this unordered. What I try to do, whatever I try to write in HTML, I try to style it. I try to style it inside our by CSS, so it makes everything really amazing. So we're gonna add list style type none, and padding will add 0. It's just a default thing. We'll just say we don't want to change any single thing. We just gotta make sure that everything's going perfect. So that's why. So inside this, we'll add background color. And I have a 4F, and I could save the code accordingly. This is gonna be white color. I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you. So after this, I'll add margin inside this web page. I'll say margin. I'll add 5 pixels is gonna be enough. 5 pixel to 0. So that's margin. I'll add padding inside. Padding, I'll say 8 pixel would be enough. So after adding padding, I'll say display. I'll add display flex. After that, I'll justify the content in the center. I want a content space between. I want to add space between the center and then in the items, and then I'll align the items in the center. I have to justify the space. Then I say I wanna align them in the center. So now border, I wanna add border radius. So inside the border radius, I'll add 4 pixels. So that's gonna be enough for our li. Li is a list tag. If you watched our previous video, you're gonna be understanding why we use list tags, how we use them. So I highly recommend you to watch the previous videos before coming into this series. It's gonna be helping you a lot, and it's gonna be giving more basic understanding of what and why are we using. I'll just add a sequence color over here. It's easy. It was E2, E2, E2. Yes, perfect. Sorry, I said easy. It was E2 in this game on my. I remembered it was like some kind of dash. So now, after that, I could edit code a bit. I could edit it, and I could make another. I'll open the bracket inside, and I'll add color. And the color is gonna be green. Green is gonna be the color. After this, I'll add a cursor inside. The cursor is gonna be pointer. So that's gonna be perfect. That's gonna be the thing. So after edit, we're gonna be adding a delete tag over here, and over here we're gonna be adding color. Red. We want to add red color inside, and we'll add a cursor. We'll add pointer. We'll say we want to add a pointer over here. So that's gonna be our CSS code. So now let's review our code once, and we gotta close all our brackets accordingly. So after reviewing the code, you could save the code and open it on the web page. So let's save it. Review your code accordingly and check out if there's any mistakes and anything. So you gotta make sure that all the errors over here are clear. There was one error, I removed it. So it's just gonna like a semicolon or something, or any spelling mistake. You gotta make sure that everything is written all perfectly. So we're gonna be saving this. Let's go reveal it in File Explorer, and you see everything's in the middle. Why am I keep on doing that? Everything's in the middle, and everything's gonna be adding accordingly. If I write pizza, it's not gonna be added. I'll tell you before, because we didn't write our JavaScript right now. But rest everything is totally perfect. We see that the book wishlist is in the middle. If I remove it, I'll make it small. If I make it big, it's responsive. It's totally responsive about everything. Enter book title, add wishlist. When we're gonna add wishlist, there's gonna be new amazing stuff. So we'll watch that. We'll do that in a while. So now let's go in our app .javascript. Over here we're going to be writing our JavaScript code. So the first is going to be a constant, and we'll add constant book input. I want to be adding a constant book input, and inside I'll say book input inside this, and then we'll close our every single thing, all our brackets accordingly. You saw there was an error. I had to close these brackets. There's some brackets issue, so you gotta always be making sure about that. So after that, we'll add now book list. I'll change it over here. I'll say constant book list document get element by ID book list. This is useful, but I don't want to add it right now. Book list. In the middle, I'll add another one. I'll say I want to add constant book button. Over here, I'll add book button, and I'll close the brackets accordingly. So this is going to be how our code's going to be written as. So let's have a look in once again the constant book input document get element by document input. So we did that perfect. So we add a constant book button, and we are document get element by ID, add book button. Make B capital. It's not that big of a deal. Book button, you could make it big. It is some good practice. So over here constant book list, and over here document get element by ID and book list. Perfect. I could make this B capital. Book list. It's perfect. So I thought I messed up because it's a little tricky. You gotta be focusing on your code, like what are you writing, so there's not that big of a there's no issues. I don't want any issues on the code. So then we're adding a add book button. Is going to be add book button, and we want to be adding a click that whenever we're going to click it, it's gonna be working over here. I could add another thing. I could say click C. I could add brackets over here whenever we're gonna click it, and after that I could say, one second, sorry. I'll just scrape all of this. I'll say add book button. I want to add a book button over here. I'll just say add event listener. I did that, and inside the brackets I'll be opening another, and I'll say over here click. I'll give a space and I'll open both brackets. Yes, this is what I want. This is a really nice function, and it's gonna be helping the code, the JavaScript work absolutely like perfectly. It's not gonna be having any issues in him. So let me check why is this coming twice. No, it had to come over here. So yeah, this is how it's gonna be happening, and we could add equal to. I think this we're messing up over here. No, we didn't mess up. Yeah. So, sorry, I just messed up a little in the code. Just we gotta be focusing on it, and it's gonna be really tricky. So you gotta be focused on the code. So we're gonna be adding a book title inside because this is a book application. So whenever we're gonna add it, we'll say book input value, and we could say another thing dot trim. We can add a dot trim over here, and we could open the brackets accordingly. So after that, we could add an if block, an if statement, which is going to be book title equal because there's three equals inside, and then we're going to be opening the brackets over here, and then after that we're not going to do return right now. We could add another thing. We could say alert when this function executes, please enter a book title. This means, what's the meaning? If it's equal to, if it's empty, it's gonna say please enter a book title. Whenever, if you're trying to press the key empty, it's gonna say please enter a book title. So it could happen, and then it's gonna return. It's an if else statement. So it's gonna return. After that, we could add a constant list item, and over here we could add document dot create element, and we're gonna say li. Li is a list, the list what we created. So whenever it should be working. So now we could list the items, list items, and we could say in inner HTML we want to be listing them in inner HTML. So we could give an equal to sign, and we could write the book title inside. That's gonna be so after that we could add span, the span tag. Oh, sorry. It's inner HTML equal to bracket a little open over here. And now we could add HTML. This is going to be so crazy. This is a list item inner HTML. Like in your JavaScript, I could write my HTML now, and it's going to be executing accordingly. So we could have wrote it over there, but we're going to be adding it because we want to be writing a span over here. So I'll add span. And then there's a dollar sign. It's called hash symbol, and inside I could book title, and I could close the span tag accordingly. So yeah, after that I could add button class, and I could say button class, and over here I could say edit it. Sorry. Edit the button, and we're gonna close the bracket accordingly, and we could say edit. So this is gonna be happening. This is gonna be a button. Whenever we're gonna click it, it's gonna help us to edit. Now we'll add another button class, and this is gonna be a delete. So now we could close the span. Wait a minute. That was a book title before. I had to add another span over here. Span. And this is not going to be closing over here. It's going to be closing over here. So this is going to be happening. Now everything will close accordingly. So there's not going to be that none mess, and we could remove this one. So now we see all of our code. I know it's a little messed up, but we'll review the code. It's like a little bit of mistake. So let's get started. Let's go ahead. We'll add. Let's just ignore that piece right now. So we'll add list items inside, and inside that we'll add a query, and we'll say query selector. And over here I'll add dot edit. I'll say, okay, I want to be adding a dot edit over here, and over here I'll add event, no, event lister, and it's going to be as a click button, and it's going to be clicking the button accordingly. And over here, after this, I could remove this right now over here. After this, I could write edit book, and in the bracket I could write list item. I know this video is a little complex with every single thing. There's a lot of stuff inside, a lot of understanding. So that's why I would recommend you going in the previous videos and understanding this. I made it in a line, so it's gonna help you a lot. So we added another lister over here. Now we're gonna be adding another item lister, query selector, and when that this is gonna be delete, add event. This is gonna be click. Whenever we're gonna click it, it's gonna be opening the delete book, and inside it's going to be list items. So it's going to be listing the items. So after this is our both of our function really messed up. These were messy functions, added a lot of stuff inside. So now we could close our tags, and then after that we could add function. The function is going to be edit book list items inside, so we're going to be listing items inside. So after that we could add a constant, and the constant is going to be current title list items query selector, list item query selector, and inside the span first child. Whenever we're gonna span the first, no, we don't want to span the first child. We wanna span it separately. I'll say over here, I want to be inside a bracket. Alright, span. Sorry. Yeah. So in span, then I could write dot, and over here I could add text content. This is gonna be helping us to add text content inside. So after that we could constant new title prompt. Inside the prompt we could add book title, and inside is gonna be current title. So after that we could add an if statement. Inside the new title is gonna be null. So I'll add an if statement, and inside I'll add the new title, which is gonna be ampersand. Gotta be looking for it. New title dot trim. It's gonna be trimming it, and we could open the brackets over here, write all of our stuff over here, and then we could list items accordingly. We could say list item query selector span. This is a span inside, and text content we want to write text content new title. And we could add another thing, we could add new trim over here. We could say, okay, we could trim the text over here too. So we could add that. And after this, we're going to be closing all the brackets. We closed one bracket, we could close another bracket over here, which is going to be helping us. So the last function is the delete function, and which is going to delete the book items. And after that, we're going to be adding a book list, and inside it's going to be remove child item list. So after that we're going to be closing the bracket. So this is our all JavaScript. So let's review the mistakes what we made. So we wrote our HTML CSS, and now we wrote our JavaScript code. So you could review all the code accordingly. I'll give you a wide view of this JavaScript code so you could check it out once again. It's all we wrote all of the functions, all of the things accordingly, and inside our HTML code we wrote all of our elements. Then we wrote our CSS inside the button tag, hover tag, UL, li hover, edit, and inside we wrote all of our tags. So now we're gonna be saving this. We'll save our JavaScript code and we'll save our HTML code. Now we'll reveal it in File Explorer. We're gonna reveal it in File Explorer. This is our code dot, and now we see this is the book wish list, and we could edit book. So I'll say pizza. It's not a book, I know, but we could add any single thing over here. So I could add, I'll just delete this and I'll write diary of the wimpy kid. So I'll add it to wishlist, and you could see it's added to the wishlist. I could even edit this, and I could even write an exclamation mark. I'll write OK over here. Now it's gonna be working accordingly. It's so crazy. I hope you love the video, and I hope you like the video and subscribe to the channel. And stay tuned for the next videos, coming videos. What's gonna be up on the channel. So thank you.